Welcome back, everyone. Today's story is one that begins with arrogance and ends with humility, a story that reminds us how easily we judge others and how powerful hidden talent can be when given a single moment to breathe. This is not just a story about music. It is a story about respect, dignity, and the quiet strength of someone the world chose to overlook. The concert hall stood tall in the center of the city, polished marble floors reflecting the glow of golden chandeliers. That evening, it was reserved for a prestigious charity event. Invitations were rare, tickets expensive, and the guest list filled with influential names. At the heart of it all was a famous singer, admired by millions and feared by many who worked around her. Her voice had earned awards, her confidence filled rooms, and her reputation demanded perfection from everyone else. She arrived early for rehearsal, surrounded by assistants, sound engineers, and event organizers who hurried to meet her expectations. Every small detail mattered to her. The lighting had to be just right. The microphones had to be adjusted exactly to her preference. Any mistake was met with sharp words and impatient glances. People excused her behavior, saying that greatness came with pressure, that geniuses were difficult. Few dared to challenge her. While all of this was happening, a janitor quietly worked in the background. He wore a simple uniform, slightly worn, and pushed a cleaning cart along the aisles. His job was to make sure the hall was spotless before the guests arrived. He moved carefully, trying not to disturb anyone. Most people didn't notice him. Those who did barely acknowledged his presence. The janitor's name was Elias. He had been working in that hall for years. He knew every corner of the building, every echo in the walls. What no one knew was that Elias had once dreamed of being a singer. Music had been his first love. As a child, he had sung in church choirs and local gatherings. His voice had drawn attention, praise, even hope. But life had not been kind. Family responsibilities, financial struggles, and missed opportunities had slowly pushed his dreams aside. Singing became something he did only when he was alone, when no one could hear him. As the rehearsal continued, the famous singer grew increasingly irritated. Something felt off to her. She complained that the hall's acoustics were not responding to her voice the way she expected. She snapped at the sound technician, then at the pianist. Frustration hung in the air like a heavy cloud. At one point, she noticed Elias humming softly as he wiped the edge of the stage. It wasn't loud, just a gentle tune, almost unconscious. But it caught her attention. She stopped mid-rehearsal and turned toward him. "What is that noise?" she asked sharply. The room fell silent. Elias froze. Realizing he had been humming, he quickly apologized. He lowered his head and tried to move away. But the singer wasn't done. A smirk crossed her face, and an idea formed in her mind, fueled by ego and boredom. "You like singing?" she asked loudly, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Elias hesitated. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb anyone." She laughed, a sound that echoed uncomfortably. No, don't apologize. In fact, come here." Everyone watched as Elias slowly approached the stage. His hands trembled slightly. He felt exposed, like a child being called to the front of a classroom. "So," she said, crossing her arms, "since you think you can sing during my rehearsal, why don't you sing for us? Right here, alone." A few people chuckled nervously. Others looked away, embarrassed for him. The intention was clear. This wasn't encouragement. This was mockery. Elias swallowed hard. He wanted to disappear. He knew this was meant to humiliate him. But something inside him stirred. Years of silence, years of swallowed dreams, pressed against his chest. He looked at the floor, then up at the empty seats, and finally at the microphone standing in front of him. "If you want," he said quietly. The singer raised an eyebrow, amused. "Oh, I do." A microphone was handed to him. The hall felt enormous now, every sound magnified. Elias took a deep breath. His mind raced with doubt. What if his voice cracked? What if they laughed? What if she was right to mock him? He closed his eyes, and then he sang. The first note floated gently through the hall, clear and warm. Conversation stopped. The laughter died instantly. Elias's voice wasn't loud, but it carried a depth that wrapped around the room. As he continued, his voice grew stronger, richer, filled with emotion that came from years of unspoken pain and longing. He hit a note so pure, so controlled, that the pianist instinctively stopped playing. The sound hung in the air, flawless and haunting. People stared in disbelief. Some leaned forward in their seats. Others felt chills run down their arms. This wasn't amateur singing. This was extraordinary. Elias moved through the melody effortlessly, reaching high notes with a power and precision that seemed impossible. Notes that required years of training and natural gift came to him as if they were second nature. He wasn't performing anymore. He was releasing something he had kept locked away for too long. When he finished, silence filled the hall. No one clapped, not because they didn't want to, but because they didn't know how to react. It felt like clapping would break something sacred. The famous singer stood frozen. Her confident posture had vanished. Her smirk was gone. For the first time that evening, she looked uncertain. That was unexpected, she finally said, forcing a laugh that sounded hollow. Unexpected was an understatement. Elias had just sung notes she herself struggled with, notes she avoided in her performances because they pushed her limits. And he had done it without effort, without arrogance, without training halls or spotlight. One of the sound engineers broke the silence. "That was incredible," he said softly. Another followed. "You have an amazing voice." Applause slowly began, hesitant at first, then growing louder. Elias opened his eyes, confused. He hadn't expected this. His hands shook as he lowered the microphone. The singer cleared her throat. "All right," she said quickly. "That's enough. We need to continue rehearsal." But the atmosphere had changed. The attention was no longer fully hers. People kept glancing at Elias, whispering among themselves. During a short break, an event organizer approached Elias. "Have you ever performed professionally?" he asked. Elias shook his head. "No, sir. I just clean here." The organizer smiled. "You shouldn't." Word spread quickly. By the time rehearsal ended, several people had spoken to Elias. A vocal coach offered to give him lessons. A local producer asked for his contact information. For the first time in years, Elias felt seen. The famous singer watched all of this from a distance. Something twisted inside her. It wasn't just jealousy. It was discomfort. She had tried to humiliate him, and instead, he had revealed something she couldn't deny. Talent did not belong only to the famous. Greatness did not ask for permission. Later that night, as the hall emptied, Elias returned to his cleaning cart. The spotlight was gone, but something inside him had changed forever. As he wiped the stage one last time, the singer approached him. Her voice was quieter now. "You were very good," she said, avoiding his eyes. "Thank you," Elias replied politely. There was a pause. "I didn't know," she added. Elias nodded. "Most people don't." She hesitated, then said something she rarely said. "I'm sorry. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't perfect. But it was real." Elias smiled gently. "It's okay." That night, the famous singer performed at the gala as planned. The audience applauded her as they always did. But backstage, conversations buzzed about the janitor with the unbelievable voice. Videos from rehearsal, secretly recorded, began to circulate online. By morning, millions had watched him sing. Within weeks, Elias was invited to perform on a small stage. Then another. His journey was just beginning. He didn't become famous overnight, but he gained something far more important. He gained belief, both from others and from himself. As for the singer, the incident stayed with her. She became quieter, more careful with her words. She had been reminded, in the most unexpected way, that talent can live anywhere, and respect should never depend on status. This story teaches us something simple yet powerful. We never know what someone is carrying inside them. The person we overlook today may have a gift that could inspire the world tomorrow. Kindness costs nothing, but arrogance can cost us everything. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, remember to treat everyone with respect, because greatness often hides in plain sight.